She walked into court like it was no big deal. Chin up, smiling, completely unfazed. But what she didn't realize was that the man sitting across from her wasn't just any judge. He was about to tear down every ounce of that fake confidence in less than 5 minutes. This 19-year-old thought she could sweet-talk her way out of responsibility. But instead, she walked straight into a reality check so brutal. It left the entire courtroom speechless, because this wasn't just another hearing. It was a full-on lesson in humility. From quitting her job to driving without a license, and even leaving her grandma waiting outside in the car, this girl managed to break every rule in the book, and still acted like everything was fine. But Judge Fleer? He wasn't buying a single word of it. Stay tuned, because what starts as an ordinary court hearing quickly turns into one of the most jaw-dropping moments you'll ever see in a courtroom, where entitlement meets consequences head-on. And trust me, by the end of it, even she couldn't fake that smile anymore. It all started when this 19-year-old showed up for her bond hearing. She'd been charged in a theft case, which should have been a serious moment. But the second she walked in, it was clear she didn't take it that way. Calm, casual, and smiling like she was meeting a friend. Not a judge. The problem? She wasn't just there for a theft case anymore. She had already broken the law again, that very morning. You see, she drove herself to court. Sounds normal, right? Except for one small detail. She didn't even have a driver's license. She literally pulled into court property while committing a crime. And the cherry on top? She left her grandma waiting outside in the car because grandma doesn't know how to drive. It's the kind of thing that makes you stop and go, "Wait, what?" So there she was, standing in front of a judge, smiling, while already stacking up new violations. And from the second she opened her mouth, you could just feel Judge Fleer's patience evaporating. When the judge asked if she was working or in school, she said no. She'd just quit her job, the one thing she was supposed to keep as part of her bond. She claimed it was too far, too inconvenient. 40 minutes was just too long of a drive, so instead of figuring it out, she just stopped working altogether. The judge looked at her like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. "I told you to get a job, not lose a job," he said. But she didn't seem to grasp the seriousness of it. She just stood there, trying to explain herself, repeating that she was working on it, and just needed one more week. Then things got worse. When asked about her drug and alcohol test, she casually admitted she'd test positive for THC. No hesitation, no shame, just matter of fact. As if breaking bond conditions was just another Tuesday. You could see it on the judge's face. That was the final straw. Judge Fleer ordered an immediate test, and when it came back positive, his tone changed completely. "Stay with me," he said firmly. "I'm revoking your bond." You could almost feel the room freeze. That's when she started begging. "Can I at least go tell my grandma?" she said. "She doesn't know how to drive, and I drove her up here." The judge looked stunned. "You don't even have a license," he said. "You can't drive if you ain't got a license and insurance." It was one of those moments where you realize the person in front of you just doesn't get it. Every rule they were given, they broke. Every warning, ignored. She had done the exact opposite of everything the court had told her to do. And still, she kept trying to talk her way out of it. "I was working on it," she said. "I just need a little more time." But by then, it was clear the judge had made up his mind. He wasn't angry, he was disappointed. And that's somehow even worse. The judge's voice softened, but the message hit hard. "We're trying to help you," he said. "But you're doing nothing to help yourself. If I let you out now, that's enabling you, and I refuse to do that." He wasn't just talking to a defendant anymore. He was talking to a lost kid who'd never been told no. And for maybe the first time in her life, she realized there were real consequences waiting for her choices. Judge Fleer even explained how a theft conviction could ruin her entire future, how it would make her unemployable, unable to get a loan, an apartment, even financial aid for school. He wasn't just sentencing her. He was teaching her. It was like watching a strict parent give the talk every teenager needs but rarely gets. Except this one was happening in front of the world. Before ending the hearing, Judge Fleer had her sign an affidavit, a written promise never to drive without a license or insurance again. And then he dropped the final hammer. If she ever broke that promise, she'd face up to 180 days in jail and a $500 fine each time. He laid it out plain and simple. If you get into an accident without insurance, he said, you could destroy someone's life financially. And you don't have the money to fix that. I'm trying to be fair. That was the line that stuck. This wasn't about ego or punishment. It was about accountability, about finally forcing her to understand that her choices had weight. You could tell this hearing hit deeper than anyone expected. The judge didn't yell, didn't humiliate her. He educated her. He showed her that actions have consequences and that real life doesn't care about excuses. And honestly, watching it unfold, it didn't feel like a legal issue anymore. It felt like a parenting issue, like someone was finally giving her the tough love she should have had years ago. Because this wasn't about jail time. It was about waking up. She wasn't a villain. She wasn't evil. Just lost, careless, and way too comfortable ignoring the rules. And that's what made it both frustrating and sad to watch. By the end, the judge had made his point loud and clear. We mean business, he said. No catch and release here. He left her with no doubt that this was her chance to grow up, or get swallowed by the system. You could see the shift in her face as reality finally set in. The smile was gone. The fake confidence faded. And, for the first time, maybe she realized the courtroom wasn't a joke. It was her last warning. You know, it's rare to see a moment like this, where a judge actually takes the time to teach instead of just punish. Judge Fleer didn't destroy her to be cruel. He destroyed her ego so she could rebuild her life. And maybe, just maybe, this was the exact wake-up call she needed. Because sometimes, life doesn't whisper lessons. It throws them at you in the form of a judge, a revoked bond, and a signature on a promise you better not break. So what do you think? Did Judge Fleer go too hard? Or did he give her exactly the lesson she deserved? Drop your thoughts below. And if you think accountability like this should happen more often, make sure to like, subscribe, and stick around. Because this story might just be the one she remembers for the rest of her life.